Hello there, my name is Malika and I love to talk about movies. And today we're going to be talking about an Australian film. And I feel so fancy saying film instead of movie. It's definitely not my usual go-to because when you say film, it makes it seem way more important than it is. But because it's from Australia, or at least Australian producers and an Australian studio, and it uses all American actors, I'll go ahead and call it film. This movie, Primitive War, came out in 2025, and it was recommended to me by someone I talked to on Twitter from Australia. We talk about movies, and he has got some really great recommendations. Definitely check him out, Kane Vision. This movie is nothing like you will have ever seen before. It is a cross between Apocalypse Now and Jurassic Park. Yes, it is just like that. Now, it was set in the 60s, so all that great music that came out at that time is in this movie, and it's all American actors, well, besides the Russian actors. But you get the idea. It was about the Vietnam War, so it is about an American platoon. Now, the first thing I want to say is that there is a warning in this movie. This movie is very blinky. I don't have an epilepsy problem, but there was so much blinking in this movie that it actually bothered me, and I had to cover my eyes for several scenes. So if you have a problem with blinking lights from either the shots fired or whatever else was going on in this movie, just be warned that this is a very blinky movie. Strobe light, I should say. There's a lot of it. The second thing I'll say about it is it's definitely more along the B movie type of genre. However, it is 1,000 times better than Jurassic World Rebirth. 1,000 times better. The dinosaurs looked better, the storyline was better, the fact that the dinosaurs actually ate people is better. It's way too much of a fairy tale fantasy that no dinosaurs are going to eat anybody. It's so silly. These things are predators, and if there's a lot of them, and there are in this movie, they're going to eat some people. Now, with that being said, there wasn't a ton of gore in this movie, which you guys know that I don't really care for a lot of gore anyways, but it actually could have been a little bit more gory. So if you're also not a fan of gore, this movie is great. It's not going to be a big bloody horror fest. They really did kind of stay true to more of a war movie, but they were fighting dinosaurs. Now, there are a couple scenes at the beginning that were kind of drawn out. Before they started their mission to find the missing platoon and got into the dinosaur area, there was some drawn out stuff that I absolutely kind of fast forwarded through, and it didn't really matter to the storyline. But I'm sure there was some kind of character development in that I just missed. Sometimes I am a very bad movie watcher and I get impatient, I will admit. But when you get into the dino scenes, it's really fun. The special effects for them was really great. It really reminds me of the original Jurassic Park, not these Jurassic Worlds where the colors are weird and it just doesn't make sense. They actually have dinosaurs with feathers, which is very cool. And when this platoon that's looking for the missing platoon actually goes into this area, at first they're like, are these just big birds? What is happening? What are these tracks? And yes, some of them did have a lot of feathers, but not all of them though. They did have a velociraptor and a big T-Rex looking one, and they basically fought a huge array of attacks. And even the nicer dinosaurs that were fun to see, like the Ankylosaurus, my personal favorite dinosaur. And you don't hardly ever see that dinosaur, but there was a little scene with an Ankylosaurus in there. These attack scenes were fun and exciting, and it kept the movie going. But there's one thing that made me laugh every single time I heard it. The T-Rex chomp. I don't know what the sound effects guy was thinking. It literally sounds like two cups going together, like a big, loud chomp when the dinosaur chomps his mouth. I can't stop laughing. This part of the movie was so funny, and it happens so many times that it just completely takes me out of the movie. Every time the T-Rex chomps towards you, it makes this loud, weird, totally wrong chomping noise. It was very funny. But apart from that, the effects and the sound effects were very good. Okay, so anyways, now that I stopped laughing, there were 3 actors from America that were kind of recognizable. Not A-list actors by any means, but it was kind of cool to see people that you recognize from an Australian film. There's that word again, film. So what happens to this platoon is they get split up when they're running from the dinosaurs. There's 2 guys that go on one side of the river, and there's 7 guys on the other side of the river. I think that was the number. The 2 guys on one side of the river meet this Russian lady, and she's been stuck at this dinosaur facility for years by herself because the guy who runs it had offed everybody who knew about the dinosaur project. Now, of course, this was the 60s, and this was a Russian operation, so they wanted to make dinosaurs to kind of take out America and all their enemies, and they were going to use some type of portal to get the dinosaurs from there to wherever they wanted to attack. But that project just didn't work out. And it is just like Jurassic Park 2 and 3, and basically Jurassic World 3 and 4, where there was this facility that just wasn't in use anymore. It was completely overgrown with vines, and the dinosaurs had completely taken over this area. Now the movie continues with the 7 guys that got separated from the original 2 guys. All of them are just fighting dinosaurs, and eventually the dinosaurs do come to that facility. They always do this in movies, and I guess they have to because the movie wouldn't continue if animals behaved the way animals always behave. They're going to save themselves before they go on a revenge hunt, right? The facility's on fire. Those animals are going to hightail it out of there. They're not going to be running through fire to get back at people. But we wouldn't have a movie if animals behaved like animals behaved. But it's definitely kind of a pet peeve of mine that in the Jurassic worlds, these predators suddenly couldn't catch a helpless animal. Give me a break. And these animals are fighting through fire and through not even being hungry. They're just out for revenge. It just doesn't make a ton of sense, but every single movie is like that has to do with animals, so it's not a knock on this particular movie. This one definitely has a very cool storyline. The acting is pretty good for the B-list actors. I think it's great. And the storyline keeps you going, and the action is enough that it keeps you going. Now again, there are some very silly things that happen. Like this guy throws a grenade at the T-Rex. Now they'd been running all night, apparently. All night they were running because they started running at night, and then it was daytime when they were still running, and then they decide to throw a grenade at this dinosaur. And my husband literally says that was a fart grenade because all it did was make some smoke. It didn't actually blow anything up. It was kind of weird. A weird effect. A grenade is much bigger than that. It was kind of like poof, like a little fart grenade. But outside of the very silly chomps, the fart grenade, that was just one tiny scene, and it definitely being more of a B-style horror movie, this is a good movie that is worth a watch. If you're bored and you need something to watch that you've never seen before, and you probably never will see before, Apocalypse Now mixed with Jurassic Park, this is a good movie, and I recommend this one way over Jurassic World Rebirth. I mean, it's literally 1,000 times better. Everything about this movie is better than Jurassic World Rebirth. So I would watch this one over that one. So anyways, you may like this movie, you may not, but I do hope you enjoy these Movie Chat Mondays with me, Malika, and I will see you next Monday.